Good morning and welcome to the Hot Seat with Mel. Here on the Hot Seat, of course, we seek to inform, to educate, to bring to you the issues affecting the typical Tobagonian and to demonstrate to you what's been happening on the island, both in the private sector as well as the public sector, to address those issues. We've had quite an exciting week so far. Today, it's Wednesday, and we're going to discuss health and wellness in the local communities. Now we're going to take the emphasis away from centralized health, and we're really trying to take a look at some of the activities and endeavors happening right within our personal communities, right within our villages, right within our health centers around the island. Joining me in the hot seat this morning is Mr. Riccardo Warner. Now, Riccardo is quite a special person. He is actually, apart from his passion for health, for holistic living, and for wellness on a very individualized and a very customer service-based manner, Riccardo is also the very first male district visitor, health district visitor for Trinidad and Tobago. Is that correct, Riccardo? Welcome,
Yes.
and thank you for being here.
Thank you. Pleasant morning to all. It's really a pleasure to be here to share and to inform the Tobago public, of what is taking place within your community, right?
Excellent. Riccardo, tell us, before we even get into the nitty-gritty, tell us, what does a district health visitor do?
Right. So basically, a district health visitor is a registered nurse / registered midwife that promotes holistic care within the community. This person is trained, it's a specialized training, and basically responsible for ensuring that our immunization status is maintained, and that's from babies to adults. We also perform antenatal care duties, and in a nutshell, it's really holistic health and community-based health, so it's more preventative care. So we try to minimize persons progressing onto the secondary care level where they are diagnosed, and some may have to lose limbs in terms of amputation, suffering renal failure, and so on.
So I'm guessing the emphasis here is really on the individual taking responsibility for their own health and wellness at an early stage, because of course we know that healthcare in Trinidad and Tobago is free, so that does place a sort of I don't want to say burden, but it becomes a lot for the public service to have to sort of cushion when we get to the stage of secondary care. And one of the things that I like about the services being offered is that you really get to interact with the people, you really get to interact with families and communities, so you know firsthand some of the things affecting us on a personal level and on a community level. Now, Riccardo, you operate within the Mason Hall to Palliative Care District, and well, I know you quite well from Mason Hall because that's my hometown, and this morning I must take the opportunity to say good morning to everybody in Mason Hall. So my family is very, very familiar with you, being members of the clinic down at the Mason Hall Health Center. So can you, let's start there. Let's talk about some of the services being offered by the health, not just the Mason Hall Health Center, but also some of the health centers within your district.
Right. So within my district, it really spreads from Mason Hall up to Palliative Care. So there are 4 health centers within that region, and we are responsible for providing holistic health care towards the community members. So as you introduced me, you said our first priority is customer service. We believe in delivering a service that is quality and second to none. So we try our best to meet the needs, and while at the same time beating the expectations of the clients who will enter any of those doors within that district. Okay.
So I know that when you start thinking about community-based health care and community-based wellness, sometimes the system itself cannot do it all. Are there any opportunities to collaborate? How do you incorporate other entities operating within the communities?
So the whole thing is being innovative. And as the saying say, when you love what you do, it comes very easy. The practice is a phenomenal experience. And we at the Mason Hall Palliative Care District, and I keep saying we because I, Riccardo Warner, cannot do it alone. And I have a great team from the environmental worker, the groundsman, right up to the district health visitors, the doctors who are there. So you find we work together collaboratively with stakeholders, whether it's NGOs, religious, sports group, even within the different divisions, we collaborate to bring health to the people. Even the politicians we work with, to sort of get that connection to show that health is not, it shouldn't operate in a silo. Health is a total combination of different sectors and as I said, stakeholders. So you find we would have done initiatives with groups. Recently we did one in Castara where we collaborated with Cuban doctors and Mr. George. That was his idea, and from the time he called us, we said, yeah, we are on board with this. And we took that opportunity to, again, promote the immunization process as we immunize persons against COVID-19. And it was really successful because we saw some of the guys on the beach, the waterfront, who were hesitant. And after having a discussion with them and letting them know, hey, this is the real situation. It's better than sitting wondering if, and you wouldn't believe, they all came up and take the shots, right? So I could say Castara is one of the places that actually has a high level of acceptance where the COVID-19 vaccines are. And that was, again, that collaborative work with an NGO or entity within the community in fostering proper or good health practices.
I'm actually very happy to hear that, because a lot of times when we have these health campaigns of sorts, you know, sometimes we miss the marginalized, if you want to call them that, but those segments in society that might not necessarily, you know, adhere to or be paying too much attention to what the formal campaigns, and by the formal campaigns I'm talking about like the ads, for instance, or you know, formal press releases or even formal addresses coming out from the Division of Health. So it's nice to know that you guys have taken the initiative and done this collaboration and ensured that you took the vaccines to persons within the community. You know, and I'm hoping I'll see it replicated maybe in Palliative and even in Mason Hall. I know that we've had some issues with hesitancy. I know that the vaccines were being rolled out via the health centers. I don't know if there's been any improvements.
Well, the truth be told, the north side has a very good response to the whole COVID vaccine initiative. I could say Mason Hall Health Center, every Monday we provide that service. It's available. People come from as far as Lekoto, Crown Point, Bonacor. They come to us for the service because, again, it's a friendly environment. And we see the need to help the government in fighting this pandemic that we are all experiencing. We want to return to some sense of normalcy. And it also assists the science in determining the way forward. Yes? So in Mason Hall, we have a good uptake of the vaccines. For a small community, roughly we have, I will say, about 30 every Monday, new persons and persons completing the vaccine process, which is either 2 doses, right? And what we have also observed is that a lot of persons are actually coming forward and taking the Janssen, which is under the brand Johnson & Johnson. So it's really great working together as a team. And as you said, health is something that we need to start looking at it differently, in that health is not or should not be seen as a building. The dynamics that health brings with it, it's an ever-changing thing. It's like a revolution, because although we have the common things like diabetes, hypertension, and renal failure, we have life-changing practices being a dynamic thing, because you have different diets being implemented daily, some to lose weight, some to gain weight, right? I remember at one time Tobago only had 2 double stalls. One by Royal Castle corner by Tech, and the other one was up by the taxi stand. Now we have doubles in every corner of Tobago.
Indeed, and now I'm seeing even gyros and that, more fast food being introduced. So we're going to take a very short break, but once we return, let's talk about the management of the lifestyle diseases and what's happening in the community centers, in the health centers, to support that.
Sure.
Start your morning right with your daily dose of inspiration right here on Music and Entertainment Television, M&ETV.
Whereas we may not have been present in the construction of our history, we have a responsibility to participate in the development of our destiny. The ex gratia, however, is monies that I've given you when I'm going to terminate you to indemnify myself or to free myself of liability.
This is an opportunity right here, this evening, for us to lay the naked facts on the table.
Watson Duke has made no mistake by way of articulating his agenda.
Tobago, hi, I am Marlon Calendar, and I'm here in beautiful Pigeon Point. I'm not here for the scenery because Tobago has real talent.
So Tobago, we're looking for your talent. You could cook, you could sing, you could dance, you could be a tailor, you could be a jeweler. Whatever is your talent, bring your talent.
And we'll see what Tobago has to offer. Come and meet me in Tobago.
Here's how the PNM has helped families. 9,600 people benefited from emergency social assistance grants, full support with grants for household items, medical equipment, clothing, textbooks, and more. We have helped over 350 senior citizens with medical alert devices that allow instant contact to emergency services. 500 people benefited from free vision screening island-wide at absolutely no cost.
We getting it done. We building it up. PNM.
10,000 people benefited from our food card program. Those with income challenges due to the pandemic and the increase in food prices. Further 1,300 people benefited from public assistance grants. We're our brother's keeper, giving a hand to those unable to work.
We getting it done. PNM, we building it up. PNM.
500 people benefited from rent relief grants, keeping a roof over the heads of those unable to meet their rental payments.
We getting it done. PNM, we building it up. PNM.
The PNM is helping you out with public and social assistance, medical devices, salary and rent relief, food cards, and more. On December 6th, vote PNM.
PNM.
Welcome back to the Hot Seat with Mel. This morning we're talking about health and wellness in the communities. Now, before the break, we would have been discussing the endeavors being taken by Mr. Riccardo Warner, who's in my hot seat this morning, as well as the staff at the Mason Hall Health Center. All the endeavors being undertaken to ensure that persons within the communities throughout east of Tobago or the northern side of Tobago, that they have access and that they're sensitized to the importance of taking the COVID-19 vaccines. Now, Riccardo, what I want to ask you, for persons who might not be able to journey to the Mason Hall Health Center, or persons who might have some concerns about maybe crowding or waiting, is there anything being offered to those persons?
Yeah, the whole thing, as I said, we provide a service, and the service does not begin and end in a building. We meet you where you are. We go to you. So yes, there's that service where you can come to the Mason Health Center. You can call us at 635-1622, and you make the request, or you could call any one of our health centers and make the request, and they'll get it on to us. Because we are not only limiting it to Mason Hall District, because I find myself giving vaccines on the West as well. So it's a service that we give to individuals. You're fearful of coming out, you call us, we take your information, we also consult with our doctors to ensure that the client is really getting the right choice of vaccines. Yes, and yes, we do home delivery. Yes. So it's vaccines on wheels as well, you know. So it's really a pleasure offering that service.
And actually quite like that. Now, before the break, we just about touched on, our diets here in Tobago,
Yes.
the influx of fast and convenient foods that might not be so whole or wholesome, that can create. And as we become even busier with our lifestyles, the tendency has been to just grab something and go. And what it does is it moves us from that place where we're having preventative health care to secondary health care, as you would have mentioned. So what efforts have been undertaken to ensure that we kind of stay at phase one, which is we prevent lifestyle diseases, or at least we manage it?
Right. So at our district, what we see is that each person has a key role in this whole process. So you find the entire team, they are informed about what product we want to offer, the service. So take, for example, or the general consensus is that persons will flock to the health center on the day the doctor and the pharmacist there, because those are the main personnel in health to them. And as such, you find we tend to miss the ones who are graduating, or the graduates who are waiting to graduate to become a diabetic or a hypertensive person. So one of the major things we sort out is that we encourage persons to come randomly, have your pressure taken, and what we also brought to Mason Hall District is that we have our own phlebotomist there. A phlebotomist is stationed at our health center 3 days a week for now, with the operationalizing of the Moriah Health Center. This service will be there for the entire week. So you come, you don't have to see a doctor before you can get the write-up for that blood result, because as a district health visitor, it's part of my functioning or part of my duty, so I can do the request, and then we will evaluate it and have you see the doctor without being ill. So we are more promoting wellness. So you come, you do your pressure, we check you, we get your family history, which is very, very important, and a lot of people tend to ignore that fact. So you need to know your family history. So we encourage that conversation. Hey, your mother, your grandmother, who for you had diabetes or who is hypertensive? And we start that conversation. And then we start asking them, what's your lifestyle like? Teachers, we have, we are a dynamic team up there because we have worked with all the different, as I said, stakeholders within the community to ensure that good health is maintained. And I can boast that Mason Hall District has the best wound care in that our amputation levels are, I would say, 0.1%.
Wow.
Right? And our turnover in terms of patient stay it's phenomenal. It's like you have a short stay with us and your wound heals properly because we have a team that understands to fulfilling those services.
And I could definitely attest to the work being done by you guys and to that team being actually dynamic. My grandmother is is a patient at the clinic, and I know that for even the elderly folks, it becomes out in day.
Yes, for real.
It becomes, they come down there early and they're all dressed up and they have no problem staying there with the nurses down there, whether or not they see doctor. They're just happy to be down at the
It's true.
health center. So let's talk about, because you mentioned collaborating with communities. So let's talk a bit about health fairs going out into the community, because I know you mentioned doing it in Castara for the vaccines, but what about just the general health fair if persons wanted to know their numbers but you don't really have time? Because sometimes it's not so much about making the effort to go, but you're passing and you see something happening and you stop.
Yes. I remember when I just went to Mason Hall, I observed one thing is doing your community needs assessment. And we know the famous university in Mason Hall. So it attracts the young and the old, the middle-aged, you name it. Whatever you want, you'll find it there. Educator, a person who you may look as a street guy, but he's also educated in his own field. So what we decided, I said, you know what? I hear these people talking about pop-up shop and pop-up this. And I said, let's have a pop-up health fair. And I mean, my superiors were like, oh, now pop-up health fair. I said, yes, what? Describe it. I said, we're going to pop up by a bar. And they were like, a bar? These people don't have time with you. And trust me, that day I called the politician. I said, hey, I have this idea. Because we don't have money, I need the resources in terms of 10 chairs, food. I'll provide the rest. And we did a pop-up health fair in Mason Hall. And trust me, we saw 265 persons. 95% were males because we promoted prostate screening and HIV testing. And trust me, everybody came to know their status.
Wow.
Right? We were able to save like three men who were progressing onwards to be seen by the urologist. And we also were able to warn persons who are about to enter. So the whole thing is health promotion of itself does, as I said, is no longer in a building. It's out there, going, meeting the people on the beat and providing it. So we have done a lot of health fairs apart from that pop-up collaboration. We did one with the police station. We did for teachers where we know teachers are they don't have time for themselves. These professionals, because it's like you go to work. When you finish work, then you have your work. And by the time you turn around when you retire, it's because you know you're diabetic, you're hypertensive, you have cancer, and you did not really enjoy the fruits of your labor, which is your retirement. And your retirement forms part of that golden age where you travel and you get different experiences, right? So you find we start targeting these entities. So we offered our teachers, all the primary schools, secondary schools, because none are left out.
Wow.
So we offered the ladies, hey, come do your pap smears. And we collaborated with the Trinidad and Tobago Cancer Society. So we crossed the sea.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And it's because, I mean, I must big up my boss, Katian Otley, and Karen Rivers. Those two persons have given me the sort of autonomy to really develop this thing called health in Mason Hall. I mean, Mason Hall is my home, right? Everybody knows our home. I am very passionate about my village, right? And nonetheless, we provide service irregardless of status, race, social standings, you just there to serve.
So I hear you bigging up the team and of course Miss Utley and your superiors. I also want to big you up because the kind of initiative that you're taking to take health outside of the health center and onto the street, I mean the pop-up health fair, that's genius. That's definitely something that we hope to see replicated throughout Tobago. So
we did it in Charlottesville
also. We did it in Charlottesville
and
also.
It was just as great, You see, men, generally, the thing about us men, we are macho, right? We don't, the only time you see us screaming is when we're on the trolleys going into accidents and emergency. So you find we tend to, either we're drinking something or the wife might ask one thing, so nothing care, like just good, But the truth be told, in order for us to really improve our health sector, we need to stop looking at health from health. We have to start looking at health from dimensional, or through a dimensional lens, whereby you collaborate with different entities. So for example, the Division of Education needs to get more involved, because we need to start training or teaching our children at an early age that, hey, your health is very important. So, for example, the young lady, at the time she enters, that I was starting having menses, she's going to be introduced to Panadol or some sort of painkiller to resolve that. The guy, we just go through a phase and that's it. We stomp with two and we say, boy, we're coming here crying for you. You know, go out and play, right? But if we start teaching our children from standard 5, I would say, that boys, you need to go and see your doctors at an early stage, right? So it will now become a part of them through the education system. So every year you go and do your examinations, and then it become a norm. So instead of detecting at a later stage, or because you had a headache and you went to the health center and then you realize your pressure high, no, it is something that we had to start investing from there. It's the same way we want to create engineers, and we start from tertiary, where we do the fairs in school and they dress them up as a doctor and whatever. You need to introduce that kind of language in the curriculum, where health is important. Watch what you eat, exercise, get in your medical checkups.
You have to educate people, so it definitely becomes a part of our culture. All right, so we're going to cut for a short break. When we come back, we continue our discussions on health and wellness in the community.
Start your morning right with your daily dose of inspiration right here on Music and Entertainment Television, M&ETV.
Whereas we may not have been present in the construction of our history, we have a responsibility to participate in the development of our destiny. The ex gratia, however, is monies that I've given you when I'm going to terminate you to indemnify myself or to free myself of liability.
This is an opportunity right here, this evening, for us to lay the naked facts on the table.
But the Duke has made no mistake by way of articulating his agenda.
Here's how the PNM helped over 2,000 families with housing grants. 109 families benefited from our home improvement subsidy, which provided grants for 50% of home improvement costs up to $20,000.
PNM, we getting it done. We building it up.
Over 400 families realized their dream of home ownership through our beneficiary-owned land program, which assisted families with $50,000. Our home completion program provided over 200 families with grants up to $20,000 to assist those who were unable to complete construction due to financial constraints.
We getting it done, PNM. We building it up, PNM.
Over 1,200 people were given assistance up to $15,000 who needed home repairs through a home improvement grant. The PNM is helping you realize your dream home. On December 6th, vote PNM.
PNM.
Welcome back. So we're still talking health and wellness within our communities. Now, Riccardo, I have a question for you. Because, you know, a lot of times when we think about health and wellness, we think about medicine, medication, the health centers, but we don't think about the social aspects and the implications that these social issues have on a person's health and well-being. So for instance, when you have persons suffering from poverty, having to deal with a whole ton of other issues, you find it difficult. Health is not exactly the first thing on their minds. So, you know, sometimes it's easy for us to say, well, eat clean, make sure you exercise. But when, for instance, you're a single mother and you have, you know, 3 children, especially homeschooling them now, you don't have time to really go out and exercise. Sometimes it's the cheaper foods, which might not be the healthier foods, that you try to give them. You know, and even for busier folks, sometimes you don't have the time to prepare a good meal, so you tell them, eat some snack, and you know, or you bring home the KFC or the pizza. What are the initiatives happening within the communities also to, you know, at least via the health centers or via your team, to sort of address some of these social issues, particularly for persons in need at least?
Right. So throughout the primary care system, we have social workers attached to each health center or each district, as you may want to call it. And we work collaboratively, where as soon as we identify that need, we do a referral system, right? And as it relates to dieting, I must bring up the nutrition department headed by Dr. Cruikshank, right? Abby and all these young ladies, they are doing a fantastic job from each level of the human spectrum. So we're talking from babies right up to the elderly, the senior citizen. So you find that most times, or the pathway in coming into the health system, there's that demographic information that we'll obtain. And from that, we will know and understand that, hey, there's a social issue here. So as you referred to the single parent mom, from the time that woman joins our antenatal clinic, that flag is raised. So we get the information. Are you employed? If you're not employed, we know, well, hey, we have to provide services. Even if a HIV person comes in pregnant, we also have that service where we know where we have to provide milk and Pampers and different assistance, hook them up to get the food cards. And the thing is, in our district, I could say, we have that sort of arrangement. Even if you get thrown out of your rental apartment, Mason Hall District will link and get you in contact with the right personnel to get back in or get a roof over your head. If you need clothes, recently we had the families that got burned. We know that our responsibility was to call, hey, we make an appointment, come and see the doctor, because you have to deal with that psychosocial aspect as well. So it's a holistic thing. It's not limited to Mason Hall District only, but it's just, I must emphasize, right? That's where I have home is home. You must big up home first. So it really is a pleasure serving that community. I mean, I'm one of the few DHVs that was able to service the whole of Tobago. I went to every district as far as Castara, Charlottesville, Crown Point, you know, and when you say DHV Warner, the rest is history. Yes?
I'm happy to hear what I'm hearing, and I'm happy about the social interventions that we're seeing happening on the community level. So thank you so much, Riccardo, for joining us this morning. Congratulations again on all the initiatives that's coming out of the Mason Hall Health Center and the Mason Hall Palliative Care District.
Yes.
Congratulations and thank you to you and your team. And of course, thank you for sitting in the hot seat this morning. It certainly was a pleasure. We'll cut to a short break, and once we return, we talk about health and fitness, health and wellness in a different aspect within our communities.
Start your morning right with your daily dose of inspiration right here on Music and Entertainment Television, M&ETV.
Well, more workers have been sent home, but it's coming from the quarter which fights against terminations, dismissals, and the like. Here's more. The largest union in the country, the PSA, has sent home staff. Workers reached out to TV6 saying they got to work today only to realize it was their last day. Employees of the PSA's media center have received letters titled Termination of Services.
Today, the PSA's executive would have made a decision to send home 20 of its office staff. We will be running a very tight ship, a very hard ship. We will be running a very tight ship, a very hard ship.
What do you make of the terminations?
11 workers fought and won against Watson Duke 2 years ago when we were fired. We believe that he always had it in for us. So this is something we knew was coming when he won, or if he had won the election. We believe that he always had it in for us. So this is something we knew was coming when he won, or if he had won the election when he won. Yes, we knew this was coming. It's something in making that he's planning something bigger.
The Progressive Democratic Patriots will ensure that all government workers before December 25th receive an ex-gratia payment. Really? We mean that.
Teaching workforce is too large. That's a problem.
Approximately 67% of Tobago's labor force is employed in government and government-related activities. So we have this crisis of everybody working for government.
Every employee in Tobago, I call upon you tonight to listen. Because I tell you this, that your jobs are in danger.
Tobago, I am Marlon Calendar, and I'm here in beautiful Pigeon Point. I'm not here for the scenery, because you know Tobago has real talent.
So Tobago, we're looking for your talent. You could cook, you could sing, you could dance, you could be a tailor, you could be a jeweler. Whatever is your talent, bring your talent.
And we'll see what Tobago has to offer. Come and meet me in Tobago.
Welcome back to the Hot Seat with Mel. We started off our discussion on health and wellness in the communities by chatting with Mr. Riccardo Warner, who is the district health visitor for the Mason Hall Palliative Care district. And we saw some amazing work coming out of that district, at least via the health centers. Joining me in the hot seat now, we have Mr. Jevon Carrington, also known as Dose, and of course he is the founder and owner of Dose
Fit Studio.
Yeah,
yes.
There you go.
Dose Fit
There you go.
That's
You're
right.
owning it, and of
Yes,
course,
yes.
congratulations. We've seen the growth of Dose Fit
Thank you very
Studio
much. Thank you.
over the years. I
Yeah.
have to say, good job.
Thank you.
You've been definitely doing, human service to the community.
And thanks, yes. And it's been 7 years. It's
Wow.
been 7 years. I think the last 2 years would have been the toughest
Naturally,
and for
naturally.
obvious causes, yeah. And yes, it's my birth child, but to say I definitely can't take credit for everything that we may have accomplished throughout those 7 years. It's been a team effort from inception till now, and it will continue to be that way.
To be a team. So
Yes.
let's start with the last 2 years, because
Uh-huh.
what I have observed is that although we've had several restrictions, closing down of the hard courts and the fields, and restrictions on grouping up to exercise, of course, and we'll talk about, you'll explain to the persons listening exactly what you offer. But I know that you have implemented certain innovations to
Yes.
ensure that you still bring health and fitness
Correct.
to your members and to the wider community. So maybe let's start talking about what you do, what you offer, and how you have been innovative over the last 2 years.
So basically we offer a wide range of health and wellness avenues or fitness avenues. We do from CrossFit style workouts, weight training. We encourage road runs as well. And we facilitate those who can't come out on a consistent basis, where we have virtual sessions. And COVID, or this pandemic, has really forced us to be more innovative. at one point when we were only allowed 5 persons, and on an average our groups are like 25 persons per session, it was near impossible to have all 25 persons gather. So then my team and I, we had to come up with an innovative way of how do we get or keep people moving? How do we keep our members moving? We came up with a brilliant plan where we divide all the groups into 4, and we'll have one group of 5 doing gym routines, all working out at 6 o'clock. One group of 5 working out, gym, they have their weight room program. Next group will be on the road. Next group, we have CrossFit. And we just had to make it happen. So far, for the last 2 years, it's been a huge success. And we hope that it continues to be that way, whether we are allowed bigger groups, whether we are allowed or we are restricted to remain as is, we have to continue. And I think it's imperative that we continue because we all know the importance of health, the importance of fitness where health is concerned. So that's where we're at right now.
And I'm loving the energy. I definitely feel the energy, like one of those pumped up trains.
Yeah, always. I think I always say it down at training, energy is contagious. If I stepped into the studio with a blah attitude, with a down spirit, or I came into the studio and your guys here was on that level, that energy would have been transferred. An organization takes the temperature or the vibe of a leader. So whether I'm going through stuff personally or maybe down on my own time, I can't, it's not fair to transfer that to you. It's not fair to transfer that to the members of the studio. It's not fair to transfer that to my clients. And that's what we try to do.
And I could definitely appreciate that. Now you mentioned breaking up your team into groups of 5. Let me ask you this. Since the introduction of the pandemic, have you seen an increase in an interest for fitness activity, or have you seen a decrease?
There's definitely been an increase. Sadly, the pandemic has brought a lot of division among our members. And when I say division among our members, I mean we were forced to, I don't want to say eliminate, but a lot of members had to stay away as a result. Even in recent times where we were mandated only vaccinated members. Yes, so it's really tough having to tell your members who have been there for the last 5-6 years that they can't return because of this decree. But again, we try to work within the parameters of the law, and safety is paramount.
What about virtual training for the unvaccinated members? Is that something
we
you've
do
considered?
We do offer virtual sessions. We do offer virtual sessions. Actually, what we did, we assigned team leads to each of these 5. So these persons are efficient enough to conduct sessions even in my absence. All right, they would have gotten to a certain level. Also, what we are trying to do is bring in certification courses for these team leads. So they themselves now can go out into their communities and assist other individuals in becoming fit.
No, I'm actually liking what I'm hearing. so let's look a bit at, the social and also psychological impacts of the pandemic and what that might have done for persons actually interested or persons who would have been a part of Those Fit Studio before. And when I say social or psychological impacts, we know that the pandemic has brought with it a lot of, I want to say, mental issues and stress for persons. And, I'm not quite sure if that has caused persons to withdraw, just want to be home with their families and not do anything and shut down, or whether you've seen persons now being like, listen, I need to burn energy, I need to refocus my efforts. This is how I kind of, clear my head. What have you been experiencing?
Let me say this. We've always prided ourselves on making fitness fun in a family atmosphere. So whenever if your schedule is 5 a.m. or 6 p.m., workouts must be structured in a way. You must be looking forward to come to workout. That must be your stress relief. Even if the workout is challenging, that's your 1 hour for yourself away from everything. The stress of work, the stress of family, the stress of you're probably left home and you're down to your last tin of sardine. And that's the reality. It's the reality for a lot of persons. And as you enter the gate or as you meet up with your team, you're supposed to feel like, this is my zen. This is my zen. So we really pride ourselves on that. I think from the beginning, it wasn't always about fitness. It was never about fitness. So we would have events where we go hiking as a family. If other fitness groups have events, whether it's aerobic burnouts or charity events, we are always there. We see it as yet another avenue to express ourselves in the area that we really enjoy, which is fitness.
And I like that because what you see is mental health being incorporated into fitness. And I mean, it all boils down to health and wellness
definitely.
within the community. So you mentioned even participating in aerobics, burnouts, and hikes. Tell me about some of the collaborations, and it could be prior to COVID, because we're really hoping that soon enough we'd return to
some sort of normalcy.
Yes, exactly.
Let me say good morning to all my fellow trainers. Mellows Hit Fitness, we did a lot of work, and we will be with them again on the weekend. They're having an aerobic event at Montgomery. That's a plug for Mellows. They're having their aerobic event this weekend at Montgomery. So we're going to be there supporting them, as always. We would have even gone as far as Roxborough with LT's Fitness when they were launching a few years back. We went up there and we had zero behavior, no apologies. But it's always fun. It's always fun doing these collaborative or engaging in these collaborative efforts with other fitness groups. And as you said, we're really looking forward to getting back to that place where we could, it's not about what we do at Those Fit or what they do at their camp or what they do at their camp. At this point, it should be, all right, we're all in this together. It's what we love to do, so we're doing it together.
So a concerted effort. So we're going to take a very short break, but once we return, I would like for us to discuss nutrition and how you incorporate nutrition and that aspect of wellness into your training.
Start your morning right with your daily dose of inspiration right here on Music and Entertainment Television, M&ETV.
Well, more workers have been sent home, but it's coming from the quarter which fights against terminations, dismissals, and the like. Here's more. The largest union in the country, the PSA, has sent home staff. Workers reached out to TV6 saying they got to work today only to realize it was their last day. Employees of the PSA's media center have received letters titled Termination of Services.
Today, the PSA's executive would have made a decision to send home 20 of its office staff. We will be running a very tight ship, a very hard ship. We will be running a very tight ship, a very hard ship.
What do you make of the terminations?
11 workers fought and won against Watson Duke 2 years ago when we were fired. We believe that he always had it in for us. So this is something we knew was coming when he won, or if he had won the election. We believe that he always had it in for us. So this is something we knew was coming when he won, or if he had won the election when he won. Yes, we knew this was coming. It's something in making that he's planning something bigger.
The Progressive Democratic Patriots will ensure that all government workers before December 25th receive an ex-gratia payment. Really? We mean that.
Teaching workforce is too large. That's a problem.
Approximately 67% of Tobago's labor force is employed in government and government-related activities. So we have this crisis of everybody working for government.
Every employee in Tobago, I call upon you tonight to listen. Because I tell you this, that your jobs are in danger.
Tobago, I am Marlon Calendar, and I'm here in beautiful Pigeon Point. I'm not here for the scenery, because you know Tobago has real talent.
So Tobago, we're looking for your talent. You could cook, you could sing, you could dance, you could be a tailor, you could be a jeweler. Whatever is your talent, bring your talent.
And we'll see what Tobago has to offer. Come and meet me in Tobago.
Welcome back to the Hot Seat. We're discussing health, wellness, and of course fitness in our local communities. And set with me and in the Hot Seat we have the energetic Jevon, aka Dose from Dose Fit. And we're just talking about how he and his team, how they've been managing the pandemic and how they're still able to maintain a healthy and a wholesome lifestyle amidst all these challenges that we've faced. Now, before the break, I started asking Jevon about the efforts being taken to ensure that members maintain a healthy and a wholesome nutrition and nutritional balance. So what is the emphasis there? Because a lot of times we think that you just need to work out and you're good to go, and we don't focus really.
That is probably the biggest myth ever. I always harp on it at training. Fitness begins and ends with your diet. And when I say your diet, I don't mean you're eating bush alone, because we have this stereotype that it's just about eating bush, the lettuce, tomatoes. No, your diet doesn't have to be boring. It doesn't have to be, we weren't made herbivores. We weren't made herbivores, all right? So it's just about making sure that there's a balance in everything that you're consuming. Of course, based on the body type that you're trying to achieve, you will have more, whether it's more carbs, whether you have to lay off some of the carbs, but generally you need the nutrients from all food groups to have a healthy and well-functioning body. So.
What kind of support do you offer to persons who might be suffering from lifestyle diseases? So I come to you and I say, listen, I'm diabetic, and I want to train, but I really don't know how to eat properly, or struggling with hypertension. Or
Very good question, because we actually do have some clients who have, I don't want to say suffering from lifestyle diseases, but they're living with some lifestyle diseases, and they're living quite well with those lifestyle diseases. In terms of support, we're lucky enough to have some nurses who train with us, and they have also been able to assist other clients where diet is concerned, the restrictions. There are some of them, they're definitely lactose intolerant, all those sort of stuff, certain proteins that they can't consume as a result of some lifestyle ailments that they may be living with. But all in all, we do have support systems in place where those persons or those clients are concerned.
And I'm glad you mentioned support systems, actually, because one of the things that we often overlook, especially when we're doing our thing privately, if we want to call it that, as entrepreneurs, as community-based persons, one of the things we overlook is the importance of support systems. And what I want to ask you, actually, Jevon, is how has Dose Fitness been involved in the communities as well? Because there's always a responsibility, not just to your direct members, but also to the wider community that you serve. Yes.
Correct. And again, it's always been a team effort. We would have seen the need, we would have heard the need for some homes in the Buku area that are less fortunate, and even more so now, where people have been laid off from their jobs, single-parent homes. In recent months, we would have started the food drive initiative coming out of Dose Fit. So not just the Dose Fit members contribute to this drive, but we have a lot of family and friends and supporters who would come by. Sometimes they're just back into the arena, and we have to help offload, whether it's cases of water, canned foods, everything. Sometimes, particularly for ladies, you always need the sanitation stuff. So we have all those at the storeroom, at the arena, where on a monthly basis we go out, we just show up at those doorsteps. We don't need any photos, we don't need any names. We're just here to contribute to your life in this little way, because this is what we see the need for this, and this is where we want to contribute. Also, for the last 5 years or so, we would have engaged in mentorship Yes, we would have had a couple instances where we would have gone into high schools. Even recently, I had the privilege of speaking with the boys at Mason Hall High School, Mason Hall Secondary School. Even though it was virtual, it was extremely engaging. It was extremely engaging, and these young men, some of them, you know, they may be sidelined or looked badly upon. But when you hear the level of interaction, it's like these boys are intelligent. They have a lot to offer, and that is what we spoke to them about, mindset. And we can do all things through Christ who strengthens us. So that is just two of the initiatives that we've been doing throughout our immediate community and Tobago at large.
And, you know, I'm liking what I'm hearing so far. And a lot of times, we, as you said, we overlook the marginalized youth as they're formally called, you know, and even sometimes in terms of being able to relate to our young persons, we tend to use these very formal channels, and that doesn't necessarily grasp their attention.
Exactly.
They can't relate to that. But then when you have these groups like those Fit Studio, you know, kind of interacting with them, then they sort of connect closely.
And that is so true, because even, you know, sometimes I personally would have gone through a bit of discrimination where, of course, I have tattoos, I have earrings, and the stereotype is, oh, people with tattoos and earrings, they're marked a certain way. But when these young men see somebody like myself, some of the other guys or clients who accompany me on these programs, but these persons look just like me. They look, you know, you're not coming there with shirt and tie on. You're coming there dressed normal, and you're not speaking down to them. It's always a rapport. It's always a, you know, one-on-one.
Definitely.
So, yeah.
Definitely. And what about support? Has those Fit Studio considered providing support to aspiring athletes? Is that something that you see in your future?
I'm glad you asked that, because at one point we were preparing some young footballers to head out on, that was just before the pandemic. We were preparing them to head out on trials. And these young men, I'm telling you, absolute quality footballers. And it was definitely my privilege to work with them. We also worked with Esther James of the national netball team, and she was brilliant. Even though she gave me a hard time, she at no point she ever backed down. And that's what it is about, challenging them to the point where, okay, I can do this, I can do this, and just making them believe, mindset.
Correct.
Yeah.
Make people stronger. Now, tell us, for persons who might be interested in getting involved in those Fit Studio, you know, hearing more about what you guys offer, how do we reach you?
All right, so
where do we reach you?
We're on Instagram at Those Fit Studio. All right, we're also on Facebook, right, at Those Fit Studio. We're located now at Buku. We're fortunate enough where we have our home at Buku. Just opposite the integrated facility, all right, formerly known as Sunday School. So we operate there now. That's our home sweet home. All right. So yes, if you want to be a part of what we are doing, feel free to contact us. And of course, now we may still have some restrictions in terms of adding numbers, but we do have an existing list of prospective clients for the new year. So once we are allowed to operate almost at normal or normal, we'll be contacting those persons and anyone else who is interested.
I'm glad to hear
Well,
that.
I'm looking forward to seeing you down there.
You can't put me back in the hot seat when I have you in the hot seat. But you'll see me. You'll definitely see me for the new year, or maybe even sooner. You know. Thank you so much, Jevon.
Yeah, and thank you for having me.
Of course,
definitely.
it's always a pleasure, and congratulations on the growth.
Thank you very much.
You know, I've seen where this started, and I see where it is now, and it's definitely excellent. So to all our viewers out there, thank you so much for tuning into the Hot Seat, where this morning we looked at health and wellness within our local communities. Join us here tomorrow, same place, same time, for more topics engaging the persons of Tobago, right here on the Hot Seat.